the city and say, please move that shed over here so that we can access the parking by the grand opening. That would be awesome. Also, this parking garage over here is one of the 1 hour free garages, but they removed the booth and it became permit only parking, so it doesn't accommodate any of the customers that might come down here to eat or drink or shop. So we're working with them to try to get them to speed up the process of making that a customer friendly garage as well. So it's another case where we have parking, but it's not really publicly accessible. So as we make this more accessible, people will have less frustration with where to park, especially when they're both right here, but they're both not really in a great position to be conveniently used.
Will there be a budget to paint the sidewalks?
Oh, thank you. So, so we are negotiating with the city for a memorandum of understanding so that the downtown partnership would take over the maintenance of the street, the sidewalks, the landscape, the artwork, the garbage collection, all of that, and a big chunk of the funding for that would come from the parking meters. So since there haven't been parking meters here for 50 plus years, that's sort of revenue that the city hasn't been spending on other stuff. So capturing that new revenue and keeping it in this area is our goal. So we will hopefully have that put together before October 21st. At least that's the direction we're headed now. So if you come to next month's tour, I should be able to give you the details on that. So the IRS is in this kind of suburban style building over here, and those IRS workers won't be there in a couple of years. It turns out that most of us aren't turning in paper tax returns that then require someone to be hired to take paper and transfer it to digital. You're just doing it digitally already. So that's changing the workforce locally here. And so they'll vacate that building. So that'll be something we'll be able to market to different kinds of users. Hotel Fresno, people have bought that from Los Angeles and have talked about converting that into somewhat mixed income, but I think at this point it's about half affordable housing. The tax credit markets that they were relying on have changed, and so they're having to find money to make up that gap since tax credit values have dropped. So just kind of keep your eye on that. It's a very important sculpture. I can say from a revitalization standpoint, I would love to see it be a hotel. It's catty corner from where the high-speed rail station is going to be. Hotels bring in a lot of economic impact. It's nice to have residents down here, but if you think about a hotel, it's churning through residents every couple of days. And how many of you are like me, and that when you go out of town, you spend money on stuff that you would never spend money on in town, right? Your money just flows. So it'd be nice to have more tourism, and we are probably the largest city I know of that doesn't have an historic hotel in their downtown. There is in fact a national association of historic hotels, and a lot of people choose to go to a historic hotel rather than a new hotel. So it'd be nice to have that feature, but we'll have to see what happens with that development going forward. This is the Housing Authority. It was originally McCormick Barstow. When they left, the city got the building, and then the city turned it over to the Housing Authority. This is not a great downtown design. In fact, this corner kind of exhibits on three of the corners for sure. When we talked about eyes on the street before, you can, through good design, have transparent windows so people can see in and out. That gives you more of a sense of eyes on the street. We don't really like having opaque glass, because if there are hundreds of people working there and you can't see them, it doesn't really change your perspective of eyes on the street. So our new downtown development code wouldn't allow that kind of a design, or they wouldn't have allowed the county to close up those windows and put just black at the top. They wouldn't have allowed CVS to close this back door and then cover up their windows and have a blank wall on Fulton Street. So a lot of the changes going forward will have really good design elements to them that will add to the life and vitality and eyes on the street character. Not blank walls or closed up or dark windows. So those are good positive changes. We also made it possible by right so that you can do mixed use development. So someone could turn that into housing or a hotel and have retail on the ground floor. We do require retail only on the ground floor on Fulton Street, so we won't get more government office buildings that are closed on the weekend at 5. From going forward, all of the new businesses and buildings will have to have active retail storefronts, which includes restaurants and other entertainment as well. So when you put the right rules in place, it means you're going to revitalize over time as you get new uses and new development happening.
Is there any plan for this corner building?
I do have a user meeting to look at this building, I think on Monday. It was tied up in a lawsuit for the last couple years, so we really couldn't market it. But now that that's wrapped up, we have one particular kind of exciting downtown user that's looking at 3 or 4 of the different buildings down here. So as I get those kinds of things wrapped up, believe me, I will get the word out and share that with all of you.
What was it you said you want the city to move down here?
Well,
Can you see it?
if we were to walk down here, you'd see that there's a little parking attendant booth at the far corner of that lot in sort of an out-of-the-way location. And we would like them to move that booth right here to Merced, so that you're coming down Fulton and there could be a sign that says parking to the right, and you would be able to drive right in there and park, and they could come down and support Parsley Garden or Take 3 Burgers. Same with having that parking garage open to customers with hour free parking. So you think about what a difference that will make to drive down Fulton and see parking right there within a half a block of where it is you want to go, as opposed to having to come from the outside or figure out a confusing system.
It would help foreigners too.
Yeah, it helps. It helps the Grand, it helps everyone.